What is up, friends? Rob here, the Medicare minister, and I'm back with a brand new Spitting Fire Leadership podcast for all of you today. And today I have the one and only, the super coach, Coach Micheal Burt. Coach, will you say hey to everybody real quickly?
How you doing, guys? Good to see you.
Well, Coach, we're so thankful that you're on the podcast today. We know you're going to bring it. We know you're going to spit some serious fire. But before I dive into that, just want to encourage all of you once again to like, comment, subscribe, so that way you're notified every time we drop fresh content like this. And the reason we do this is because I believe that all of you were made on purpose for a purpose. And I want to help you start living on purpose. And I know what Coach is going to share with us today is going to put fresh wind in your sails, going to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to win. So Coach, what I like to do every time I do a podcast is really, and I know I've heard you speak a couple of times, I'm in one of your coaching programs, so I know a lot of your story, but I always ask people, can you give us that Sports Center highlight version, maybe a little bit of the past, some of that transition period into where you're at today?
I was a high school basketball coach for a decade. Around that time, I became a deep disciple of Dr. Stephen Covey at 18 years old. So from 18 to 25, I was knee deep in studying the whole person theory, those 7 habits, principle-centered leadership, a lot of inner engineering people. And at 25 years old, I decided to sit down and write my first book, first of 17. I've got a new book coming out called Flip the Switch, which we're pushing hard to make a Wall Street Journal bestseller. And at 25, I sat down and wrote a book about how we were inner engineering kids, how we were touching the body, the mind, the heart, the spirit. Most people thought I was brainwashing people, but we were winning. And because we were winning so much, people were constantly asking me, what are you doing? And I said, man, I don't have time to explain it. And something, I don't really remember what, prompted me to sit down and write a book. When I wrote the book gave me a message. The message got me in front of people. When I got in front of people and started speaking on the book, people asked me, could I be their coach at their company? And then they started paying me more in an hour than I made in a month. And big companies began to want to retain me at 31 years old to come in and really drive some serious performance. And that's when I retired from athletic coaching to really spend the next 15 to 20 years doing what I do today, which is in its essence, performance coaching, taking people and getting a better result through a unique methodology that I've been working on for 20 years.
Yeah. So every time I've heard you speak, I've heard you talk about there's a book in all of us.
Yeah.
Can you just harp on that just for a second? Why do you believe that? Because a lot of the things you do teaching your coaching is about having that message. You said, I had a book, the book gave me a message. Do you mind just expounding on that just for a second?
Yeah, it comes down to a simple philosophy. You don't need more money, you need more people. People have the money. And when you solve a problem for another person, they give you that money. And we all got problems, but the best sales strategy is to fill the top of the funnel. And the way you fill the top of the funnel is by being known. And the way you become known is you position yourself as an authority, or in my world, a person of interest. That's a book that I wrote. And you become known in the world, and I become known. If you backtrack today, Rob, and said, what's the number one thing you did? You go back 20 years ago, I would tell you the first thing I did to become a person of interest was to write that book. Because up until that point, it's just me with results and a lot of good ideas. Now I've got a message. Now I'm an authority. Now I'm in front of people. Now those people have the ability to hire me to be their coach. Now, fast forward 20 years. The only reason I speak today is to be a person of interest, to get in front of more people. And we have engineered that into building an insurance agency, which we're about to roll out, into real estate companies, into raising capital, into building greatness factories, into opening success schools for kids. Like now I speak to get in front of people, and we call that opportunity brokering.
Right.
It's really an opportunity brokerage, but you need more people. You don't need more money, you need more people. And so anything you can do to get in front of people is a good thing, which is why podcasts are a good thing, which is why writing a book and speaking on stages is a good thing, which is why strategic partnerships are a good thing. You need people. And that's really how you expand and become known and do something big in the world, is you need a lot of people.
Well, no. And part of the reason I started this podcast was I, attended 8%, which you've spoken at the past, I know at least 2 years that I've been there. and really just honing in on that message that we all have a voice, we all have a message. So let me stay there a little bit longer, because one of the things that I've heard you talk about is really that you have a skill set that helps other people find that voice and find that message. Do you believe that some people never get to that next level because maybe they're preaching the wrong message, or maybe they just never really honed in on what that message really is? They're not clear on it.
Well, I'd say most, not some. I
Yeah.
would say most people never find their primary talent. Okay, a talent in the Bible is said to be worth $320,000, $360,000, excuse me. 2 talents, that's 720, 3 talents, right? It's over $1 million. So why don't people make that kind of money in today's world? If a talent is worth that much, why don't they make it? Number one, they haven't found it. Number 2, they don't know how to package it. Number 3, they don't know how to market and sell it. See, what I thought, Rob, I was learning at 18 was these 7 habits from Covey. What I was really learning was how to find my talent, which is packaging and delivering content in a way that gets people to move. It is deconstructing ideas and then codifying those ideas and then packaging those ideas. Now, I can use that to build an insurance company. I can use it to coach my kids. I can use it to do couples retreats with my wife. I can, right? Like I can use my talent in multiple arenas, but most people have never invested the time or shown the interest in even finding their talent. So they go through life underperforming, very frustrated, typically not making good finances, good money, because they don't know how their talent solves a problem for another person. And, you know, nobody gets into insurance because they like selling insurance. They get into insurance because they want to help people. Right. And it's got great recurring revenue. Right. So here's the deal though, but within selling insurance is a unique skill set that you have. Maybe it's connection. Maybe it's taking something complicated and making it simple. Maybe it's building community. Maybe it's building teams. There's something that you have based on your unique past that really makes you unique in the world.
No, I think that's so right. As someone who, former pastor, church planner, been in ministry for 20 years and trained different teams, one of the things that I really clung to early on is the Barna Group did a study that they said when they interviewed people across the church, and I'm just going to jump into faith-based real quickly, they said that 80% of the people sitting in the pews and the chairs had no idea, I call it what their 10 is, what their 10 was, their gifting, their talent. And it's amazing to me how so many people in the faith-based circles don't teach this stuff. Right. And you have these frustrated, defeated, broke down, if you will, Christians who never reach their full potential. And I believe people like you are needed in the faith-based space. And this podcast reaches both, but I believe it's necessary because there's so many people out there like me who never heard a lot of this until I started reaching out and discovering more of what my 10 was and what my lane is. And, you know, I'm in sales and we do Medicare here, Coach, in Tupelo, but really my ultimate gifting is not Medicare sales. Right. I love people. I love empowering people. And that's why I'm attracted to people like you, because people like you motivate me and empower me. And so I still have to say this. Why do you think so many people are scared to reach out and ask for help from a coach? What do you think that barrier is?
Somewhere along the way, adults got the idea, and I don't know where it came from, that the reason you hire a coach is because something's wrong with you.
That's good.
Right. And that is actually not the reason. Now, it could be a reason. You could be underperforming in relationship to your potential. But the reality is, if you study human nature, and I study a lot of human nature, all of us contract to places of comfort. The brain is there to survive and thrive. It is not there to be pushed. It is not there to be uncomfortable. And so without a coach in our lives, I think about this morning, I was in the gym. And that attitude video I did this morning about having a good attitude was because I didn't have a good attitude. It's 4 something in the morning. I'm sitting there frustrated. And then I look over to my left and there's a guy pushing a sled with a prosthetic leg. Doesn't have a real leg. He's got a great attitude. He's high-fiving people. He's pushing hard. He's the most positive person in the whole room. And I'm like, that dude's got a good attitude, right? Nobody in this room should have a bad attitude because we're here, we're alive, we're healthy. And I think when it comes to coaching, I would not push myself as hard as I did this morning if I didn't have a coach. See, the whole time I was in there, I had a coach yelling at me, pushing me. You can do more, add more weight, go harder. Here's the deal. When you study human nature, you realize I don't care who you are. You need somebody in your life who will challenge you. And you need somebody in your life who brings clarity. And so I think somewhere along the way, people begin to believe I don't need a coach. I'm good. I'm performing at a good level. So unfortunately, most people they don't operate from a place of potential. Like I'm looking for someone to help me go to the next level. Most people operate as, man, I'm sick and tired of being broke, tired, frustrated, and I'm going to find somebody who can help me. I'm going to make a decision. That word means to kill something off. So I think you need a coach because you want to play at the highest levels possible. And if you're smart, you know you need people in your life who will challenge you, who will push you, who will encourage you, who will help you see a bigger play.
Yeah, and to stay in kind of that vein, obviously you coach a lot of people. You've been on some pretty big stages. What do you think has been the number one excuse? Is that I just don't need one, I'm doing okay, I'm already performing at a high level? Or is there something else that you see on a regular basis that people go, I don't need a coach?
It's a lot of it's ignorance. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean they don't even know what a coach could really do. I looked at when I was speaking at 8%, I looked at the front row, and I've coached, trained, spoken to, mentored almost everybody on that whole front row at 8%. In some way, they've been to a workshop, boot camp, training. I've been a personal mentor to them, right? And I try to inspire people to become people of interest. And so, I think about the people who bring me in to coach right now. They want to do something bigger. They know there's an investment in it. They get the concept that they need a coach. Okay. They're enlightened. They're hungry. They're humble. They're coachable. But for most people, they literally don't know what a coach does. I mean, they think it's like a motivational speaker. And that's not really coaching. Coaching is engaging people in a set of systematic behaviors that allows them to do something tomorrow they cannot do today. If you ever had a great coach in school, I think when I was a basketball coach, I spent 5.5 hours a day for 4 years with those players. I taught them a lot about life, success, bounce back, respect, discipline, grit, toughness, communication, leadership. Like that was my role in their life, to help them be successful. Now, there's no way those kids couldn't advance after they had that kind of training. Well, adults need that kind of training. They don't know how to make a phone call. I'm in an office building right here while we're building out a greatness factory, and it's beautiful. But if I walked around right now, and there's shared office space here, and we've got a big section of it with me and my team, and I bet there's not 5 people in this whole building making outbound phone calls right now, trying to sell their product or service. They don't know how. They don't know how to make an outbound phone call. They don't know how to overcome objection. They don't know how to stay focused. They don't know how to have discipline. They don't know how to overcome a bad drive into work. They don't know how, they don't know anything. And it's because they're not trained. Trained people outperform untrained people, and unsupervised people will always contract to places of comfort. So if I don't go in there with my team and say, hey, who's on the phones? We prospect every morning from 9 to 11. I constantly have to remind my own people. You know why? Because people don't want to do it. It's too hard. Right. You were in the church business. Churches ought to be calling members. They ought to be engaging with people, but nobody wants to do it. They ought to be trying to get them back in church. They ought to be trying to see what small group you're in. They ought to be trying to find out what your problems are and how we can help you, but they don't want to do it. Nobody wants to do it. So it's like a good coach is like Kevin Elko, my buddy who's Saban's coach, said this: a good coach alerts. They alert you to things. It's like, man, you should be doing this. Man, you should be doing this. Man, you got to do this. Okay. Like my doctor, I got a great doctor in Houston. The whole time he's like, man, I need to get you on this. I need to keep you healthy. I need to have this. I found some new breakthroughs. I'm going to send you this. Like he's coaching me, right? If you get sick, here's all the things I got for you. Like we need to be preventative, all these things, man. He's coaching me. It's not just a doctor to me. So that's why we need coaches.
Why do you think so many people struggle investing in themselves or betting on themselves? From the study of human psychology and from you being a coach and being on, like I said, on some big stages and the people around the world, what do you see as a repeat pattern or barrier, I should say, that keeps people from really investing in themselves? Because that's really what a coach is, right? They're investing in themselves. They're betting on themselves to win.
Well, it really has to do with their relationship with money. Okay. And them understanding the difference between an asset and a liability. Okay. And they see it as an expense. If a coach helps you make 100 more thousand or 200,000 or $1 million more, was it an expense or an investment?
Investment. Yeah.
See, when I went to strategic coach at 35, 31 years old, maybe 32 years old, somewhere around there, I paid $6,000 a year to go to strategic coach. I was only making about 100,000 a year. And I paid $6,000 a year to go to Chicago. And man, I fought it every time. Do I really have to go? Do I have to get on the plane? Do I have to be gone 3 days? Do I be away from my office? And every time I went, they gave me structure, and they helped me find my missing structure. And they gave me, and I left there with clarity. What's that worth? I don't know how much that program helped me generate over my lifetime, but I'm telling you this, it was not an expense. It was worth every bit of it. Some people need to just be around positive energy. They need to pay to get in a room around bigger people. They need to go to conferences. They need to, you're investing in you. You are your greatest asset. Money doesn't buy you freedom. Skills buys you freedom. The stronger your skills are, the more money you can make.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, because one of the things, as I have followed you, and that I really enjoy about what you do, and I'm a big communication nerd. So I study communication. I love good presenters. I actually just left. We're doing what we call a pre-AEP training, and we were talking about communicating and transference of energy. Ed Milet talks about saying the same story to new people.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that you do that very, very well. And this is what I told the people, even in the Medicare space. Some of us don't respect our craft enough to know the craft, to practice our pitch, to get it down right. That old Allen Iverson, practice, but I noticed that you practice, because you cannot speak with that type of clarity and that decisiveness and the energy that you transfer unless you practice. Can you talk into that just for a second?
Well, I think I'm very clear in what I believe. It all starts with what I believe. So my buddy Tim Story, I didn't really know a framework until he gave me this framework that helped me to understand it. At first, we have a big revelation in life about something, right? Revelation is a sudden dramatic moment. And I was thinking about my sudden dramatic moment. For me, it was 6 years old on a baseball field. A woman believed in me and said, one of these days, you're going to be a great coach. At 15, I made a decision to coach because somebody saw the potential in me. Like, I grew up my whole life admiring coaches and seeing the power of a coach. That was a revelation. Because of the revelation, I have a deep conviction. Because of my conviction, I now take action and I practice. And the more I practice, the more I know, like Pray Drive, I just finished this book, Flip the Switch. People can get it right now on Amazon and pre-order it. It'll be out in February of next year. And man, I studied Pray Drive like crazy. I'm fascinated by it. What activates the Pray Drive in a person? Why do some people have more of it than others? What flips the switch in certain people? The people that have gone on to do ridiculous things in the world, how do they create a tolerance for risk like that? How do right? Like, I'm fascinated by it. So I study it. And when I study it and I package it and I deliver it, I go deeper and deeper and deeper. And really, I'm interested in a mastery level. Most people are not interested in mastery. They read the book one time. Okay. They don't read it 20 times.
Right.
They don't watch all the videos. When I read a book, I watch every video, every interview, all the documentaries on that person, till I have a deep intimacy with something. Okay. When I speak, I have a deep intimacy with the things I speak on, because I'm convicted, number one, but number two, I'm a pro, and professionals think and meditate on what they want to say and what's the impact going to be and what's the purpose of this talk and why am I giving this talk and why am I giving it this way and what I want the outcome to be, so I think it's just years and years and years of practice.
Yeah. And that kind of segues into one of the things that I hear you say a lot is that generalists make generalist money, specialists make specialist money. And you just talked about one main difference, why that is. But can you talk into that a little bit more and expand on that just for a second?
Yeah, I think, I look a lot at the military. There's people that are in the military, and then there's like Navy SEALs.
Right.
And then there's special ops. There's, I think, there's doctors, and then there's heart surgeons. And then there's the #1 heart surgeon in the world. And I think if you ever want to make big money, the big money is made because you have a very specialized skill set doing something that produces something that solves a problem for someone. Okay. So you got to get out of this concept that I'm a generalist. I'm an insurance salesman. I'm a Medicare salesman. Well, there's thousands and thousands of those. No,
Right.
you are a specialist.
Right.
You're a communication specialist that happens to sell Medicare insurance. Like you got to start seeing yourself as a stone cold killing machine. You spent your whole life building a very special skill set. And I think when you start thinking of it that way, just look at all the people who make the most money. It's people who have a very special skill set. They don't have a general skill set. You can make decent money as a generalist, but you won't make the big money. Okay. Money, skills buys you freedom. Okay. And the stronger the skill, the more money you can ask. Milet is a specialist at getting other people excited about their future.
Yes.
That's his special skill set. He didn't sell insurance.
Right.
Okay. Well, I always use the example of Garth Brooks. People think, well, Garth Brooks made $300 million because he's a great singer. It's not, he's a good singer, but there's better singers. Garth Brooks is a specialist at connecting to people. Even his own wife on the documentary said, there is nobody better than my husband at connecting to people.
Right.
When you're with him, it's always about you. Like he is the best. Okay. Maxwell is a great speaker, John Maxwell, but his real gift is connection.
That's it.
If you ever spend any time with him, the dude's a master at connecting to people. All the big time people are masters at something. Okay. And that's why they make the big money.
What do you think the number one hurdle or barrier that keeps people from generalists to specialists? Is it laziness? Is it the culture we live in? Is it the way they grew up? Is it a combination of multiple things?
It's a combination. I was turned on to learning very early in life. My mother didn't have me in self-help. My mother just taught me a lot of prey drive, toughness, emotional toughness, but she didn't turn me on to personal growth. I got interested in things. I got exposed to books early in life, but most kids don't. You know, I think about my kids, how they're around personal development. My daughter was on stage and my 14-month-old son got dressed up in a suit and went to my conference last week. I put him up on stage. There's no way that kid is not going to be exposed to things. Well, most people are not raised that way. Right. Their parents are kind of not involved in personal development. They go to a job every day they complain about. And life is tough. Life is hard. Life kind of sucks. And then we just kind of bear through it. And at some point in our life, we have to get interested in our own potential. My own wife didn't read a personal growth book till she was 30 years old.
Wow. And
she came to one of my workshops that her company paid $50 for. So, you know, she had never been interested in personal development. She didn't even know why she should be interested in personal. Nobody ever came into her life and told her that. So it's not that people don't want to do it. They don't know. They just don't know what they don't know. Okay. Sure. And because they don't know it, they kind of stay in the dark to it. And it really, causes them to struggle in life.
Yeah. And I really like what you said about the revelation part, because I think some people talking about events, for me, when I go to events, I feel like I get a fresh revelation, if I can use that word. I get fresh insight.
Right.
And so that's part of the reason that birthed this podcast, right? I was going to an event and hearing people like you and others, just getting some fresh insight, learning how to hone in that message. Like you said, I love Medicare, but it's not my ultimate thing. It's not my ultimate passion. I'm just using it to fund those other passions. So I appreciate you sharing that. Let me ask you this, and I ask everybody this that comes on the podcast, two questions. One is, how does Coach Burt define success? Like, what is your definition of success?
I think for me, success is associated with impact. But yesterday I spent all day with my daughter, who's 9 years old, and because of my travel schedule and my goals are so big, I'm away from my family a lot.
Right.
And I spent a whole day with my daughter, and when I spend time with my daughter, the relationship is deepened. It's just strengthens the bond. Yesterday was a successful day, right? It doesn't matter if I go to work and we make a bunch of money and I go home and I'm a lousy dad or I'm a bad husband, or to me, that's not successful. Okay. Success in one role doesn't justify failure in another role. So I look at days. Okay. I had a successful day, right? I spoke on Saturday to a bunch of chiropractors. I went home going, man, I had a successful day. I put in good effort.
Right.
I was a good dad. I spent time with my kids. For example, I get up at 4 a.m. and I work out at 5 a.m. so I can spend an hour with my kids in the morning from 6 to 7 a.m.
Right.
Okay. That's successful to me. I could have slept in, or I could have said, man, I'm gonna be selfish. I'm gonna work out from 6 to 7 so I get another hour of sleep. Then I don't see my kids.
Right.
Right. Because you go to school. So I think success is defined by different people. But to me, man, just having a good day of impacting people is successful. I don't get caught up in, I don't get too high when people tell me good things. I don't get too low when people say negative things about me. I just stay steady, and I'm very interested in my potential. So I work the muscle every day. And I go home at the end of the night and say, man, I put in a good day's work. I help folks today. I help advance somebody's dream today. I help move the ball down the field for somebody today. Man, I was a good person today. I was a good human today. That was a good day, man. It's a successful day. I don't get caught up in all the fancy stuff. I just get caught up in, man, fulfilling my mission, fulfilling my talent.
Yeah, I love that. Consistently making impact. So the part B to that is, how has that definition of success matured from 20-something-year-old Coach Burt to 40-something-year-old Coach Burt? Was there a significant paradigm shift, a defining moment that allowed you to transition from that version of success to this one you're talking about today?
Yeah, from 20 to 30, I was incredibly selfish. I had one objective, that was to build a championship program where I was coaching at. I didn't have a lot of deep friends. I didn't have anything other than winning, really. I mean, I was 100% devoted to one mission, and that was to build a championship culture. And we achieved that. And I don't regret any of it, by the way, but I wasn't a great ambassador. I didn't understand how to get lost in other people's dreams. I was too self-absorbed with one mission. I just could have, the old me would talk to the young me. I'd say, man, be an ambassador. I had this football coach at our school when I was coaching, and he was the defensive coordinator named Ron Crawford. Man, he was always upbeat and positive, and man, he felt like he was always fighting for you and fighting for the kids. And I mean, he was just a good dude, man. And he left such an impression on me. I'm like, man, that dude, he cares about everybody. He don't just care about himself and his program. And, I was just too young and immature to do that then. So somewhere along the way, I made a decision to leave my amateur selfish desires behind and really make a decision to go pro. And that was physical. I lost 30 pounds through the health and nutrition plan. We've got a health division. I went pro in my faith, recommitted my faith. I went pro in my mind, and I went pro in my relationships. And I think when you leave your amateur desires behind and you really start getting serious about legacy, a lot of things I do now are for legacy. Success schools for kids, we're looking at greatness factories. These are not inexpensive decisions. Like I could buy apartment complexes. There's a lot of other things I could do with the money, but I'm putting it into things that are part of my legacy. People ask me, why don't you just buy apartment complexes? Why don't you just invest all your money over here? Well, greatness factories are tied to my legacy, man. It's my Vanderbilt. It's my when I'm not on planet Earth anymore, there's greatness factories all over the world, and I'm the guy that invented them. Yeah. So to me, that's kind of where I am in my life now at 45.
No, I love the word legacy. I'm there. I'm 47, just turned 47 in August, so I get it. Yep. But paint that perfect picture of that legacy. What does that look like? Obviously making an impact, but can you be more specific? Like, what is that ultimate legacy that Coach Burt wants to
leave? For me, it's great. It's greatness factories all over the world. It's success schools, and the success schools are elite training academies for kids that teach all the things I taught as a high school basketball coach: confidence, grit, leadership, respect, communication. Right? Greatness factories are elegant and very inspired real estate where you can learn, grow, connect, structures of intentional collaboration, structures of exchange where the best people go to. To me, part of my legacy is not just being a good coach. There's a lot of good coaches in the world. Right. It's creating something. Yeah. It's taking my talents and creating something valuable for lots of people around the world. That's part of my legacy.
No, I love that, Coach. Several years ago, I ran across a guy by the name of Pastor Chris Hodges from Church of the Highlands. He's a big John Maxwellite, if you will.
Yep.
And he teaches Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yep.
But it really changed my life when he said this, that your life will never make sense until you make a difference in the life of other people.
Yeah.
And that's really what you're saying. And I love that. I see the most successful people are making that massive impact in people's life. And it's interesting how when you make that massive impact, that income follows.
Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, one of my favorite Maxwell lines of all time is once you taste significance, success will never satisfy you.
Yes.
You know, if you speak as much as I do, almost every weekend, almost every other day, then that part will wear out, right? It's really, man, I helped change a whole life. I helped change a downline in a family. I helped create something, you know, at some point you need something deeper. You need something bigger.
Yeah. Two more questions here and we'll wrap up. And thank you, Coach, for your time. I know you're a busy guy, but just a spontaneous question here, if I may, talking about significance. What is the most significant thing that Coach Burt has done?
I think my first significant thing was winning a championship at a school that had never won one in 30 years.
Wow.
That went on to win 7 more championships after I left. That's legacy. That's dynasty. That's, you know, I mean, that was a big thing for me, just because of the sheer amount of time and effort that went into that, you know, 10 years of just pure sacrifice. I think the most significant things I'm doing right now is really to have the guts to do these greatness factories. You know, it takes a lot of money, takes a lot of commitment. And I think I had this vision in 2017. Moms and dads, when they brought their kids to me, would say, my daughter's got a lot of potential. And I would say, well, thank you for bringing your daughter to the greatness factory.
Right.
We're going to manufacture her greatness. And then I always thought, if you live in Tupelo, Mississippi, if you made a decision tomorrow to get serious about your talent, your potential, where do you go in Tupelo?
No.
There's nowhere to go.
Nowhere.
And there's nowhere to go if you came to Nashville, and there's nowhere to go in Las Vegas, and there's nowhere to go in California. So what you have to do is pay money, get on a plane, get in a car, and go to a conference for a few days. Right? There really is nowhere locally you could go where you could learn, where you could grow, where you could connect. And that's really the concept of a greatness factory, is you go to the greatness factory. And at the greatness factory, there's programs and intentional collaboration and structures of exchange and, you know, concepts that help you grow, man. That's where you go. Okay. And that's the problem the greatness factory solves. It's not just cool office space. It's really a little city of greatness where people who want to get better, they go and get better. They go and improve. The success schools is where kids go to learn all the things they need to future-proof themselves from being failing in life. So that's those are the most significant things I'm doing.
And is the goal to have a greatness factory in every major city, or is there a certain quota or, you know, number that you want to hit?
It's just, you know, I'm partnering with a lot of people around the country that want them. You know, they're licensing deals where they bring one. We've got one in Houston right now. We're looking at one in Sacramento, one potentially in Tampa. We've got a gentleman, that's a good friend of mine in Dubai, that's interested in having one.
Wow.
So, you know, they're real estate plays with coaching that drive up the value of the real estate. So if you say, man, I want one in Tupelo, Mississippi, I've got a mortgage company out of Denver that I'm working with that, you know, said, hey, man, we want to take a whole second floor of a building and turn it into a greatness factory. So, you know, once I talk about it, people are interested in it. And pretty soon we'll be raising capital. You can put money into a fund, get a return, and you'll be part of helping us build those greatness factories around the world.
Yeah. And it makes me think about, as you're talking, that so many of us, myself included, at seasons in my life, I settled for less scarier dreams and vision. I mean, this is a big vision, a big dream. Real quickly, what keeps you dreaming so big? Why aren't you afraid to tackle those things?
You know, I think that the influences in my life, you know, I've spoken on the stages with Milet and Cardone, and I was just in Long Island this week with me and Grover and Cardone and Bradley. I'm speaking, you know, I've been around some of the best people in the world, and these people are doing big things, and they inspire me. They inspire me to think bigger, to play bigger, to go bigger, to, I think you need to reactivate your prey drive.
Right.
I've got this book coming out. I'm trying to make it a bestseller because, man, I've always wanted a Wall Street Journal bestseller.
Yeah.
And, you got to get intentional about that or it never happens.
Yeah.
So I think being around big time people constantly inspire me to do bigger things.
Right. One word or one question that I always ask people when they come on as we get ready to close today, if there was one word you could use to describe Coach Burt, what would that one word be?
Relentless.
And so part B to that, I agree. Being around you just a little bit that I've been in your coaching, I definitely agree with that. I'll say amen to that from the back. But how has that one word, relentless, helped you get to where you're at today?
I scored low on my ACT. I went to college for 9 years to get 3 degrees, but I wouldn't consider myself of incredible high intelligence. I think just pure grit and bounce back and toughness that was instilled in me by a single mom very early in my life, has really just helped me to just keep, when I lock into something, man, I don't let go until I get it, until I push toward it. And wherever that came from, that prey drive in me, whether it was conditioned in me early in life, like I said, by my mother, or how I was raised growing up. I think that's one of my strongest characteristics is I really have a work ethic about me that is a very high work ethic. And I'm not afraid to get in there and go get it, man. I'm not afraid to pick up the phone and call people. I'm not afraid to follow up. I'm not afraid to design it. I'm not afraid to set the books up or drive the bus or whatever I got to do to make it happen. I'm not afraid to do any of those things. And I think a lot of people think somebody's going to come along and, it's like stars in country music I see down here on Broadway that think somebody's going to come along and make them big, man.
Right.
No, you're going to make yourself big. You got to make a decision before somebody else comes along and says, I want to help you go big. But what if they don't come? Then it's up to you, man, to figure it out. So that's kind of my mindset.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I definitely agree with relentless. You definitely transfer that relentless energy to many of us. So I appreciate you for that. As we close today, I know you got the new book coming out in February. Yep. Go to Amazon? That's the main place.
Yep. Go to Amazon, pre-order it right now, flip the switch. It's my best book. It's my biggest book, one of my biggest books I've ever written. And man, it'll show you how to activate that drive in you that you've been looking for to play at that next level and have some kind of freakish level of success.
Right. So where else can people find you? Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram. I do spell my name Micheal. But Coach, if you type in Coach Micheal Burt, you should be able to find me almost everywhere. I do a lot of stuff on YouTube, videos almost daily, morning videos on Facebook every morning, lots of Instagram. So anywhere you could find good people, you'll find me. CoachBurt.com. Look at my events. I'd love to see you in person at something.
Well, no, thank you, Coach, once again for being on today. And guys, listen, this was some serious fire that Coach brought today. And I always say this and just want to remind you as we close today to please comment, like, and subscribe once again, so that way you're notified when we drop new interviews like this. But listen, I just want to tell you all this as we close. You deserve to win. I believe you deserve to win. Coach can't make you do it. I can't make you do it. But I pray that something that we said today put fresh wind in your sails and caused you to say, you know what? I want to start living on purpose starting today. But the choice is yours. God bless you guys. Make it an awesome day. And we will talk to you soon.